أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين والجنة للمطيعين والنار للعاصين ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء وأعز المرسلين بالقاسم المصطفى محمد وبآله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا بعد فقد قال الله الحكيم في محكم كتابه المبين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ثم لتسألن يومئذ عن النعيم آمنا بالله وصدق الله العلي العظيم. In the eighth and the last verse of Surah At-Takathur, which is chapter 102 of the Holy Quran, the verse which you have been listening to for the past 5 days. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, ثُمَّ لَتُسْأَلُنَّ يَوْمَئِذٍ عَنِ النَّعِيمِ. And then you will most certainly be questioned on that day about the na'im, about the bounties. In this verse of the Holy Quran, as we all know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is reminding us and He is forewarning us that He will question us about the bounties, about the ni'mats which He had bestowed upon us in this life. One of the most important of those bounties for which we shall be held accountable is the wilayah and the mawaddah, the authority and the love of the Ahlul Bayt Alaihissalam. The wilayah and the love of Ahlul Bayt Alaihissalam demands total submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and obedience to His commands. When we say total submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, meaning belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and in His absolute oneness. Wahdahu la sharika lah. He is one and there is no associate and partner to Him. And when we are talking about His obedience, it is in reference to doing what He has commanded us to do and refraining from what He has forbidden us to do. Mu'mineen, during these few days, we have been discussing about the mission of Imam Abu Abdullah Hussain Alaihissalam and our responsibilities. The primary objective of Imam Hussain Alaihissalam's movement was to protect and secure the deen of Allah, which is Islam. In order to achieve this, there were two essential requirements. One was to bring down and destroy the government of Yazid, since he was the root cause of all the fasad and corruption in the society at the time. And the other was Islahul Ummatul Muslimah, to bring about the reformation in the nation of his grandfather, Rasulullah. One of the things which our Imam did was to revive and give life to the practice of Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahi anil Munkar, that is, enjoining good and forbidding evil. We were talking about this subject last night, Amr bil Ma'ruf And Nahi anil munkar is wajib upon all of us, individually as well as collectively. And it is acknowledged, it is appreciated that it is not easy to enjoin good and forbid evil. Although it is part of furu'ud-din and it has been made wajib. In fact, we will find that all the prophets who came, the A'imma alayhimus salam who came, and the awliya of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, their entire mission was based on Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahi anil Munkar. That is to take their subjects, to take their followers towards submission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His obedience. The biggest problem which all of them faced during their time was evasion and rejection from the people. And we will find that the Holy Quran itself is talking about this. For instance, there is a mention about Prophet Nuh Alaihissalam. Prophet Nuh is one of those prophets. It is said about him that he lived in this world for 2,500 years. For 950 years, he preached amongst the people. Quran is only talking about 950 years. But according to traditions, his life was 2,500 years. Long life he was blessed with. It is said that after 2,500 years, when Malakul Maut came to take him, to extract his ruh, at that time, Nuh Alaihissalam was standing under an open sky in the sun. So he requested, he said, Malakul Maut, allow me, please I go to a nearby shed and then you remove my ruh, my soul. He was granted with that permission. You and I, we will not be granted that permission. We should bear this in mind. Nuh was Nabi Allah, he was a prophet of Allah. When he came to that shed, he said to Malakul Maut, do you know that these 2,500 years which I have spent has passed as quickly as I left the sun and entered the shade. This is how fast the life passes away. This Nuh alayhi salam preached amongst his people for 950 years. Towards the end of it, there were only a handful of people who had believed in him and who followed him. And he complained, the complaint has been recorded in the Holy Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that he said, قَالَ رَبِّ إِنِّي دَعَوْتُ قَوْمِ لَيْلًا وَنَهَارًا. He said, oh my Lord, I called the people, I invited my people day and night, لَيْلًا وَنَهَارًا, night and day. فَلَمْ يَزِدُهُمْ دُعَائِي إِلَّا فِرَارًا. And this call has done nothing but increase in their evasion, their rejection. And then listen to what he said. إِنِّي كُلَّمَا دَعَوْتُهُمْ لِتَغْفِرَ لَهُمْ جَعَلُوا أَصَابِعَهُمْ فِي آذَانِهِمْ وَاسْتَغْشَوْا ثِيَابَهُمْ وَأَصَرُّوا وَاسْتَكْبَرُوا اسْتِكْبَارًا. Every time I call them, so that you may forgive them. لِتَغْفِرَ لَهُمْ جَعَلُوا أَصَابِعَهُمْ فِي آذَانِهِمْ. They used to put their fingers into their ears so that they don't hear me, what I am saying. Not only that, وَاسْتَغْشَوْا ثِيَابَهُمْ. They used to cover their heads with the clothes, with their clothes, so that they don't see me. وَاسْتَكْبَرُوا. And they were full of pride and takabbur. وَاسْتَكْبَرُوا اسْتِكْبَارًا. And were disdainful in their arrogance. This is the complaint of Nuh alayhi salam. What was he doing? Calling people to submission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Calling people towards obedience of Allah subhanahu. And the same was the case of all the prophets. And there are many prophets who have been mentioned in the Holy Quran. Prophet Saleh, Prophet Hud, Prophet Yunus, name the prophets who are mentioned in the Holy Quran. And you will find that Allah is talking how their nations were punished. Why? Simply because they did not submit to Allah, or even after submitting to Allah, they deviated and they were not listening to the advices that were given. They were committing things which Allah had forbidden, and as a result, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala punished them. There was a collective punishment which destroyed them. Regarding the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wa alihi wasallam, also we find that he too faced this challenge amongst his people, amongst the people in Makkah. That is, they went to an extent that they said about him, astaghfirullah, that this man is mad. he has become insane. And Quran is talking about this. Am yaquluna bihi jinnah? Quran is saying, are they saying that there is madness in him? Bal ja'ahum bil haqq. Allah is saying, the truth is that he has come to them with a message of truth. وَلَكِنْ أَكْثَرُهُمْ لِلْحَقِّ كَارِهُونَ. The problem with people is that most of them despise the truth. They do not like haqq. So my brothers, my sisters, Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahi anil Munkar is a task by itself, but a rewardable task, where we will find that whilst enjoining good and forbidding evil, we will experience evasion from the people, rejection from the people, but there will always be those in the society and in the community who will be receptive. Even if there are few who are receptive, it is worth the effort of doing Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahi anil Munkar. Ya Ali, the Prophet said to our first Imam, if Allah guides you, Allah makes you guide one person in your life, one person, it is better than everything in this life upon which the sun is shown its rays. This is what the Prophet said to Imam Ali Alaihissalam. So we should not abandon this or get discouraged that what people will think and what people will feel, and that we are going to lose friends, or there will be qat'i rahmi, my own relatives will run away from me. I mentioned last night, if you have Allah with you, you have everything. If you don't have Allah, even if everything is with you, you have nothing. According to Imam Hussain Alaihissalam in Dua al-Arafa, there will always be people who will be guided. There is a beautiful incident about one of the companions of the Holy Prophet, which I would like to share with you. Hardly this companion is mentioned in the lectures. And this companion was so great that he is the one who is responsible for spread of Islam in Medina before the Holy Prophet migrated. And he is As'ud bin Zurara. I don't know if you've heard about him. As'ud bin Zurara was in Medina. This is before the migration of the Holy Prophet from Mecca to Medina. There were two tribes, great tribes in Medina at that time, Aus and Khazraj. And they were always at war. And it happens even in smaller communities when there are two big families, for example, giant families, isn't it? For that matter, even if there are two Maulanas, there will be a fight. So, Aus and Khazraj, two great tribes, they were rivals of one another. They used to be at constant war against each other. And if any tribe lost, what they did was, both the tribes had their own alliances in Mecca. They would go to Mecca to seek the help of their alliances. This was their tradition, this was their sunnah. It so happened that the tribe which As'ad belonged to, As'ad bin Zurara, once lost. So his tribesmen appointed him, and As'ad bin Zurara was known to be a distinguished personality of his tribe, a very wise person. So every time they wanted to send a representative to any great person, they would appoint As'ad bin Zurara. They sent him, they said, you go to Mecca and bring help from there. Now, who was the alliance of As'ad bin Zurara in Mecca? It was Umayyah bin Khalaf, the staunchest enemy of Rasulullah in Mecca. So As'ad leaves Medina and arrives in Mecca. Now, even before Islam, one thing about Mecca that has been mentioned is that nobody, an outsider, could enter Mecca without wearing a ihram. This tradition followed even after Islam. Nobody could enter. And once that person has entered, he would not be able to depart from it without having performed the 7th tawaf of the Kaaba. This was there before Islam. And it continued, it became part of Islam. Some of the traditions and customs came into Islam. Allah pushed it and said, yes, this will continue. So As'ad comes, he puts on ihram, enters Mecca. Before going to Kaaba, he comes to his alliance, Umayyah bin Khalaf, and tells him that we need your help. Umayyah bin Khalaf looks at him and says, sorry, As'ad, this time I cannot do anything for you. He said, why? What happened? You are close to our tribe. You are our alliance in Makkah. He said, no, Baba, we have got our own big problem here in Makkah. I said, what's your problem? Makkah, nobody would dare to attack. Even the parents, even the kuffar would never attack. There was some sort of understanding between them that this is a sanctified place. It cannot be attacked. Regardless, there were idols in the Kaaba. It's a different thing, but still they believed in that. They said, what happened? Has somebody attacked Makkah? They said, no, nobody has attacked. But there is this young man called Muhammad over here who has proclaimed a new religion, and he is poisoning our youths against the idols. As'ad looks at him and he says, well, you are in big trouble. There's no doubt about it. So sort your problem. I will come back next year. Having said this, As'ad rose from the place. Umayyah asked him, where are you going? You have just come in. Why don't you sit? You relax. Have some meal with me. He said, but I need to go and perform tawaf so that I can remove my ihram. Then I'll come to you. The moment Umayyah heard that he is going to the Kaaba to perform the tawaf, he screamed. He screamed. You know why? Umayyah knew the status of As'ad bin Zurara. And he was worried that should As'ad become a Muslim, then the entire Medina will become Muslim. He knew the position. They said, what are you doing? You are going, you know, this Muhammad sits there in the haram and he is talking to the people over there. And I fear that if you come into contact, you will also change. He will be able to influence you as well. Rasul says, come on, Umayyah, you know me. We have been friends all this time. Nothing can happen to me. I am known to be the most distinguished and wise person of Medina. So much so that my tribe appoints me to represent them in meeting great people. And you are telling me that this young man is going to attract me and draw me from my belief and my practices. You don't worry. I'm going to perform tawaf. So Umayyah said, still Umayyah was not satisfied. He said, all right, if you want to go, go. But here is some cotton wool. Put them in your ears. Go, perform tawaf quickly. Don't look here or there. Come back to my house. Huh? Umayyah put cotton wool. Can you imagine? We didn't have those headphones in those days. Put cotton wool and left. He performed the first tawaf of the Holy Kaaba and his eyes fell on the Holy Prophet. He looked at the Holy Prophet. He later on himself says that when I saw him, I said to myself, from his face, this man does not look an evil person. He performed the second tawaf and looked at the Holy Prophet again carefully. And he said, my God, how confidently this man is talking to the few people who are sitting around him. By the time he had finished his seventh tawaf, he was already inclined towards the Prophet. He said to himself that I am a wise person. I have got my own knowledge and experience of life. If this man is lying, he will not be able to influence me. There is no harm. Let me go and meet him, talk to him, and listen to what he has to say. And Allahu Akbar. Huh? Jo Dar Muhammad ke chaukhad par aa jata hai. One who comes to the house of Muhammad or the doorstep of Muhammad positively is definitely drawn towards him. And indeed, after hearing the message of the Holy Prophet, he became a Muslim. And we will find that the Holy Prophet appointed him as the first ambassador of Islam in Medina. He was the first resident alim in the history of Islam for Medina, and it is because of us. So what I'm trying to get to is that when it comes to propagation, when it comes to Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahi anil Munkar, yes, many times we'll find that there will be rejection, people will be upset, so on and so forth. But there will always also be those who will be attracted. And if you guide one person in your life, it is enough for your salvation in the hereafter. And we will find that is why Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahi anil it's a very long subject. We do not have time. There are pays to do Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahi anil Munkar. When we say Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahi anil Munkar, some people think in Saudi Arabia there is a whole organization, Hayatul Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahi anil Munkar, if you know. You see, and they carry sticks in their hands and they hold people and they beat them. You touch the body and you are in trouble. That is jihad, that is ignorance. We are not talking about. Islam has actually laid down rules. Who are the people who can do Amr bil Ma'ruf and how Amr bil Ma'ruf should be done. I'm not going to go into details. The day of Arba'in, people have to go back. I just want to mention few things, just pointers, and then you can build on that, inshallah, with your Jamaat employees and official resident alim. So, for example, it is said that for Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahi anil Munkar, one of the conditions is that the person who is doing Amr bil Ma'ruf should know what is Ma'ruf and what is Munkar. We have discussed this last night. What is good and what is evil, according to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not according to us or what comes into our mind. What does Islam say about goodness? What Islam says about him? He should have that knowledge, should have that ilm. He should do Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahi anil Munkar. Number two, he should practice what he preaches. He does Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahi anil Munkar, enjoining good and forbidding evil, while he himself is away from Ma'ruf and involved in Munkar. Such people have been condemned in the Holy Quran. Kabura maqtan indallahi an taqulu ma la. Allah despises that person who preaches what he himself does not practice. Thirdly, there are stages of Amr bil Ma'ruf. Amr bil Ma'ruf can even be done with expression, sometimes even with eyes. Believe me, if something wrong is happening and you just stare for a moment, people realize that this person is staring because something is wrong. Doesn't it happen? Just with your eyes, like a father who does to his children. Just staring at him like this, through expression, without saying anything, without doing anything. That is considered as Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahi anil Munkar as well. So there are stages. Stage number one is expression. Stage number two is, if that does not help, then is with lisan, with your tongue. Open your mouth, and when you are opening your mouth also, you should be polite. You should maintain your akhlaq in talking and not be rough. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling his prophet in the Holy Quran, فَبِمَا رَحْمَةٍ مِّنَ اللَّهِ لِنْتَ لَهُمْ. It is the mercy of Allah that you are lenient towards the people. وَلَوْ كُنْتَ فَضًّا غَلِيظَ الْقَلْبِ لَانْفَضُّوا مِنْ حَوْلِكَ. If you are always in state of rage and hard-hearted, these people would have left you long ago and they would have scattered. So it is very important that this has to be taken into consideration. And the final stage is that when your expressions does not work, your tongue does not work, and with your hand, and when I say with your hand, it doesn't mean that you hurt somebody. You can do physically something to put a stop to a wrongdoing that is happening in your family or in your circle of friends or in your society, in your community, anywhere. Then you ought to do that. I'm not going to go into details. As I said, I was just throwing some pointers, inshallah. If we have an opportunity and we are alive, inshallah, we will discuss. Otherwise, other scholars can come and develop on this. So this is Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahi anil Munkar, which was revived by Imam Hussain Alaihissalam in given life in that society that had deviated from the path of Islam. That society in which Muslims, within few years of the death of Rasulullah, had become abidul dunya, the lovers of this world, the slaves of this world. The haram of Muhammad halal, halal of Muhammad haram. Imam rose at that time for Islahul Ummah, reformation of the nation, not Islahul Deen. Reformation of religion was not required. It does not require even today. And it will never be required in future. It is always Islahul Ummah al-Islamiyya. And he used Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahi anil Munkar as a tool to reach out. And indeed, there was a great impact. This movement of Imam had, until today, the impact is being felt. I mean, just imagine one of the Hindu poets says about Imam Hussain Alaihissalam. It was a clip that was sent to me sometime back in the month of Muharram. And he was a Hindu. He says that, I mean, imagine, visualize Karbala. There was this river, water, Furat. At one side, there were 72 people जो सबके सब प्यासे थे, who were all thirsty. And on the other side, near the river, surrounding the river, were thousands, 30,000 soldiers. Umar ibn Sa'ad brought thousands who were satiated. They were not thirsty. These 72 were thirsty. These were in thousands. They were not thirsty. But what happened? Today, those who are thirsty are still alive. Those who are satiated are dead. Nobody there to mention and talk about them. Isn't it true? We open our eyes today. What the rulers have not done to prevent us from doing the ziyarah of Imam Hussain. Saddam Hussein, may the curse of Allah fall upon him, did zulm on our ulama and on the Shias and stopped us from performing the ziyarah of Abu Abdullah, thinking that when years and years pass by and the children of Shias will grow up, they will not know what ziyarah is. This was the intention, isn't it? They will not know and they will not give any importance. Allahu Akbar. The first time the doors of Karbala opened, people started flocking in millions. In millions. Today, 18 to 20 million people attending the ziyarah of Abu Abdullah in Karbala. Not only that, Hussain has inspired not only Shias, but even non-Shias. He has inspired even those who are not Muslims. And today the situation, because of technology, has become such that Hussain has reached every house. Whether it is the house of a Muslim or it is the house of a Kafir. Even in news sometimes, the pilgrimage of Karbala, which the Shias are observing. You refer to Independent, for example, online. You will see CNN news during these days, and you will find they are talking about Shias attending in millions. But Imam has appeared in every house now. This was the promise of Allah. You get everything for me, and I will make everything subsidiary for you. Abdi, oh my servant, ati'ani. You obey me. Allah is saying in Hadith al-Qudsi, Aj'aluka mithli. I will make you like me. Allah is saying, just obey me. What does it mean? Does it mean that Allah wants a sharik? He wants a partner? He wants to make somebody his associate? Nah, it doesn't mean this. Allah says to him, Abdi, my servant, you obey me, I will make you like me. How you are going to say kun to anything? Kun means become. Fayakun, it will become. Hussain Alaihissalam and his connection with Allah, his obedience to Allah, so much so that on the plains of Karbala, when he was carrying his little baby back towards the Khayma after Ali Asghar was murdered, what did he say? How would he face Rahab? How would he face Sakina? But what were his words? Were there words of complaints? He had reached that level of ta'ah that he bowed his head down and said, I am expressing my pleasure over his will, whatever he has decided for me. I submit myself to his hukam, his command. This is where Hussain. You think Allah is not going to reciprocate? People have tried to eradicate the name of Hussain alayhi salam. Where are they? Skeletons in the history. And today, Hussain has survived and Hussain will remain. My advice, last in my series, to Mu'mineen over here, in life, by God, I mention this to my family, I tell this to myself, and I tell the communities I visit, and you remember this. We commit sins in this life. Sometimes we get distracted from haqq, no doubt. Try not to do one thing in your life. Try. Otherwise you will perish. You will be in big trouble. Never touch Hussain. Never, never in your life touch Hussain or question anything to do about Hussain. You are gone. This is just a nasihat based on my experience of life. If you want to come and say, where is it in Musul Kafi or Bihar or Anwar, you will not find it. But I am telling you, based on experience, whoever has touched Hussain has been humiliated, has gone down. Hussain is here to make the sacrifices which the family of the Holy Prophet have made cannot be compared to anything. Allah cannot be compared. And there was a goal, there was a purpose to protect and safeguard the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In return, Allah is going to protect and safeguard the name of Hussain. Hussain will continue to be inspiration for millions and millions till the day of judgment. And Hussain will continue to remain the criterion of haqq and batil, truth and falsehood. Anybody who talks about Hussain, you know Hussain is criterion of haqq and batil. It will itself tell you where this person is. One haqq. The Ahlul Bayt were freed from the prison of Damascus. For 7 days they mourned in Sham. 7 दिन तक अहले शाम ने हुसैन का मातम किया और उसके बाद सफर की तैयारी होने लगी। रिवायतों में हमें मिलता है कि बशीर इब्न जज़लम काली अमारियां लेकर आए। अहले अरम नागों पर सवार हुए, तमाम बीवियां अपने नाके पर सवार हुई। यह काफिला तैयार हुआ जाने के लिए। शहजादी ज़ैनब ने सैयद सज्जाद को बुलाया, कहा बेटा सैयद सज्जाद बशीर से कहो मदीना जाने से पहले हम करबला जाएंगे। मैं चाहती हूं कि अपने माँ जाए की ज़ियारत करूं। और बेटा सैयद सज्जाद शाम से जब हम जा रहे हों तो बशीर से कहो कि इस काफिले को जिंदान शाम से गुजारे। साहिब रियाज तहरीर फरमाते हैं कि जो ये काफिला आले मोहम्मद का जिंदान शाम के करीब पहुंचा है तो किसी महमिल का पर्दा हटा और एक खातून की आवाज बरामद हुई जो शाम की औरतों से मुखातिब होकर कहने लगी, ए शाम की औरतों, देखो मैं जा रही हूं लेकिन इस जिंदान में मैं अपनी एक अमानत छोड़े जाती हूं। देखना इस अमानत का ख्याल रहे। ए शाम की औरतों, मेरी सकीना अंधेरे में घबरा जाती थी, अगर हो सके तो हर रोज शाम के वक्त आकर उसके कब्र के सराहने चिराग जला देना। और फिर मुतवज्जे हुए कब्र सकीना की तरफ और कहने लगी, बेटी सकीना, ये तुम्हारी फूफी शर्मिंदा है, तुम्हारे बाबा से वादा किया था कि तुम्हें अपने साथ लेकर मदीना जाऊंगी, लेकिन बेटी सकीना वादा वफा न कर सकी। लेकिन मैं ये वादा करती हूँ कि अनकरीब जल्द से जल्द मैं फिर से शाम आऊंगी और ता क़यामत तुम्हारे पास रहूंगी। अज़ादारों, ये काफिला रवाना हुआ, करबला की तरफ चला और जो ही सरजमीन करबला पर पहुंचा है, रिवायतों में हमें मिलता है कि उस वक्त जाबिर बिन अब्दुल्ला अल अंसारी अपने किसी साथी के साथ ज़ियारत इमाम के लिए करबला पहुंच चुके थे। जाबिर उस वक्त अपने आंखों से नाबीना हो चुके थे, ज़ईफ़ी का आलम भी था। सरजमीन करबला पर जब आए हैं तो आपके साथी ने पूछा, जाबिर हमें यहाँ पर कैसे पता चलेगा कि अबा अब्दुल्ला की कब्र कहाँ है? जाबिर ने कहा, तो फिक्र न कर। और गुस्ल किया फुरात के पानी से, क़िबले की तरफ देखा और कहा, अस्सलामु अलैका या अबा अब्दुल्ला, हे अबू अब्दुल्ला तुम पर मेरा सलाम हो। इन्ना गाहे कब्र से आवाज बरामद हुई, व अलैहिस्सलाम या जाबिर, मेरे नाना के सहाबी तुम पर भी मेरा सलाम हो। जाबिर अपने इमाम की कब्र पर आए तो अंदर से आवाज आई, ए जाबिर खुदा के लिए इस वक्त मेरी कब्र से हट जाओ, मेरी बहन ज़ैनब आ रही है, मेरी बहन ज़ैनब मेरी मुलाकात के लिए आ रही है, मेरी जियारत के लिए आ रही है। जाबिर नाबीना हो चुके थे, अपने साथी से पूछा, क्या कुछ नजर आ रहा है? कहा, दूर से एक काफिला नजर आ रहा है, काली अमारियां नजर आ रही है। जाबिर खबर से हटे, ये काफिला आले मोहम्मद का करबला पहुंचा। इमाम امام زین العابدین کی ملاقات جب جابر سے ہوئی ہے، یہ دونوں بیٹھ کر روئے اور خوب روئے، اطراف سے بنی اسد کے لوگ بھی آ کر سرزمین کربلا پر جمع ہو گئے، ہر ایک بیوی اپنے ناکے سے اتر کر اپنے وارث کی قبر پر گئی، لیکن روایتوں میں ملتا ہے شہزادی زینب نے اپنے آپ کو ناکے کی اونچائی سے زمین پر پھینکا، گھٹنوں کے بل چل کر ماں جائے کی قبر پر آئی، کہا بھیا تمہاری یہ بہن آئی ہے، اے بھیا شرمندہ ہوں، وعدہ کیا تھا سکینہ کو لے کر آؤں گی، اے میرے ماں جائے، اے بھیا سکینہ کو زندان شام میں سلا آئی ہوں۔ 3 روز تک حسین کا ماتم کربلا میں ہوا، تیسرے روز سفر کی تیاری ہوئی، تمام سیدانیاں اپنے ناکے پر سوار ہو گئی، سید سجاد نے دیکھا پھوپھی نظر نہیں آ رہی، پھوپھی کہیں نظر نہیں آ رہی، ڈھونڈتے ہوئے چلے، دور سے دیکھا قبر مطہر پر ایک چادر پڑی ہوئی ہے، ایک چادر پڑی ہوئی ہے، نزدیک آئے، کیا دیکھا چادر نہیں شہزادی زینب تھی، مسائب برداشت کرتے کرتے شہزادی کا جسم دھول گیا تھا، نہ جانے کس طرح سید سجاد نے اپنی پھوپھی کو سمجھا کر اپنے ساتھ لایا، ناکے پر سوار کیا، یہ قافلہ کربلا سے روانہ ہوا۔ ارباب عزا جب مدینہ کے قریب پہنچا ہے اور مدینہ کی دیواریں نظر آنے لگی ہے تو جناب ام کلثوم نے ایک عجیب مرثیہ پڑھا، کہا یا مدینہ جدنا لا تقبلینا، اے میرے نانا کے مدینے ہمیں قبول نہ کرنا، خرجنا منک جمعان، جب تجھ سے چلے تھے تو ہم سب ساتھ تھے، رجعنا لا رجال ولا بنینا، اور اب آئے ہیں نہ ہمارے مرد ہمارے ساتھ ہیں نہ ہماری اولاد ہمارے ساتھ ہے۔ ایک مقام پر بیرون شہر امام نے حکم دیا بشیر کو کہ اے بشیر اب قافلے کو یہیں پر روکا جائے، خیمے نصب کیے جائے، 2 خیمے نصب ہوئے، ایک میں سیدانیہ بیٹھی دوسرے میں امام بیٹھے، بشیر کو بلایا، کہا یا بشیر کانا اباک شاعرا رحمہ اللہ، تیرا باپ مرد شاعر تھا اللہ رحم کرے، کیا تو بھی کچھ اشعار پڑھ سکتا ہے؟ کہا بلا یا ابن رسول اللہ، کہا شہر مدینہ میں داخل ہوں، روزہ رسول پر جا کر شہادت حسین کی خبر دیا۔ بشیر کہتا ہے میں اپنے گھوڑے پر سوار ہوا، مدینے میں داخل ہوا، جو یہ روزہ رسول پر پہنچا، میں نے کہا یا اہل یثرب ہے لا مقام لکم بہا، اے اہل مدینہ اب مدینہ رہنے کے قابل نہیں رہا، قتل الحسین فادمعی مدرار، کیا تمہیں پتا نہیں فرزند رسول حسین مار ڈالا گیا جس کے غم میں ہمارے آنسو بہ رہے ہیں، حسین کے سر کو قلم کر کے نو کے نیزے پر چڑھایا گیا، دیار و دیار پھرایا گیا۔ اے اہل مدینہ علی ابن الحسین آئے ہیں، بیرون شہر ٹھہرے ہیں، ازادارو جو ہی یہ خبر مدینے میں پھیلی ہے، اہل مدینہ سرو پا برہنہ اپنے گھروں سے نکل پڑے، لوگوں کی بھیڑ تھی، خود بشیر کہتا ہے کہ میں اپنے گھوڑے پر سوار تھا، اتنے میں نے کیا دیکھا کہ لوگوں کی بھیڑ میں ایک 4 یا 5 سالہ بچہ دوڑ کر تیزی سے میری طرف آ رہا تھا، میں گھبرا گیا کہ کہیں کوئی اس بچے کو کچل نہ دے، میں نے اپنے گھوڑے کو ذرا سا آگے بڑھایا، جھک کے اس بچے کو اٹھا کر اپنے پاس گھوڑے پر بٹھایا، بچے نے میری طرف دیکھا اور معصومیت سے مجھ سے پوچھا انت بشیر، انت بشیر، کیا تو ہی بشیر ہے؟ میں نے کہا نعم انا بشیر، کہا تو نے ابھی شہادت حسین کی خبر دی؟ کہا میں نے خبر دی، کہا بشیر تو نے یہ نہیں بتایا میرے بابا کا کیا ہوا، پوچھا تیرا بابا کون؟ بچے نے غور سے بشیر کی طرف دیکھا، کہا بشیر عباس۔ اب اس بچے کو کس طرح بتائیں، کس طرح سمجھائے تمہارا بابا نہیں رہا، اپنے شانوں کو کٹوا کر لبے دریا سو گیا۔ ازادارو بشیر کہتا ہے کہ لوگوں کی بھیڑ ہوئی اور اس کثرت سے لوگ جمع ہوئے کہ میں اپنے گھوڑے پر رہ نہ سکا،
घोड़े से उतर गया और मातम करते हम उस जानिब चले जहां अली इब्न हुसैन थे। अब जब वहां पर पहुंचे, आजादारों में आपकी ज़हमत को तमाम किया। रोज़े 40 है, बस 2 मुख्तसर सी रिवायत। एक रिवायत में है, बशीर कहता है कि इस भीड़ में लोगों के हमरा मोहम्मद हनफिया भी थे, यानी कि इमाम सज्जाद के चचा। अब जब वहां पर पहुंचे हैं, भतीजे को देखा, एक मर्तबा मोहम्मद हनफिया दौड़ते हुए आगे बढ़े, चाहा के भतीजे को सीने से लगाए। मौला ने अपने 2 हाथ को अपने चचा के सीने पर रख दिया, कहा चचा खुदा के लिए सीने से न लगाइएगा। ए बेटा क्या हुआ? कमीज को गर्दन से हटाया। क्या देखा? तो के खारदार की वजह से ताजा खून अभी तक बह रहा था। ये एक रिवायत। और दूसरी रिवायत में बशीर कहता है कि जब हम उस खैमे के पास पहुंचे हैं, मैंने क्या देखा है कि एक बच्ची तेजी से दौड़ती हुई उस खैमे के अंदर दाखिल हुई जिसमें सैदानिया बैठी हुई थी। कुछ देर के बाद वहां से एक कोहराम बरपा हुआ, सैदानिया चीख उठी। मैंने पूछा क्या हुआ? बाद में बताया गया कि यह बच्ची फातिमा सुगरा थी। ये बच्ची फातिमा सुगरा थी। उस खैमे में दाखिल हुई, हर एक बीबी के पास आकर झुक के देखा। जब अपनी मादर पर के पास आई है, उम्मे रबाब के पास आई है, झुक के पूछा अम्मा क्या अपनी बेटी को नहीं पहचाना? रबाब ने सुगरा को सीने से लगाया। ए फातिमा सुगरा, ये माँ अपनी बच्ची को कैसे न पहचाने? बस ये सुनना था। एक मर्तबा सुगरा ने अपनी अम्मा के गोद की तरफ देखा, कहा अम्मा मदीने से चली थी, मेरा भाई असगर आपके गोद में था। ए अम्मा अब तो मेरा भाई कुछ नहीं हो चलता। कहा नहीं सुगरा, तुम्हारे भाई को करबला सुला आई हूँ, हम बस ये सुनना था। एक मर्तबा सुगरा उस खैमे में दौड़ने लगी। शहजादी ज़ैनब ने बढ़ के संभाला, ए सुगरा क्या ढूंढ रही हो? कहा मेरी बहन सकीना, मेरी बहन सकीना भी तो गई थी। रबाब ने कहा ए सुगरा, तुम्हारी ये दुखियारी माँ अपने एक बेटे को करबला सुना आई, एक बेटी को जिंदा निशाम में। इल्तिमास दुआ मातम हुसैन।